Jesus did not teach what you call Christianity. He knew nothing of it. That is a name that was given to the followers of Jesus, and it's written there in the book that at Antioch they became known as Christians. But what did Jesus call himself, and what did he call those who followed him? Listen, my Jewish friends, God never named a religion Judaism.
Yo, what's good, Dark Mafia? We back with another one, man. I missed you guys. Today we got some creepy religious stuff. Hope you enjoy it. Merch coming soon. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's get right into it, you guys.
Some of your most powerful ancestors to ever revolt and defeat these Spanish that run the world to this day, these elites, they called them Haitians. Remember, ain't no such thing as Haitians, Africans, all them titles. We just won. But they put them titles on us to make us think it's different. No, you are the Haitians and the Haitians are you. If you got carbon in your skin, ain't no difference between you and them Haitians. We the same, nigga. The genetics is what make us the same, not the titles. That's separation. That's Western philosophy. That's what your slave master brought over here to us. That's not how we live. That's not our ancient ways. We were always people of respect, royalty, dignity. We always wore diamonds and crystals and we created all this stuff. We was never down bad and all. No, we was always a beautiful people. Whether we manifested in the physical or in the astrals. It's a fact. We always adorned ourselves in rubies and gems, and because we understand how to connect with them. First off, that's the reason we did it. They came and tried to mock us and do it to just wear jewelry, and then after they enslaved us, they taught us that form of wearing it. The whole wearing of jewelry comes from us originally wearing crystals to connect. Go back and look at any tribe, they was adorned. We was never down bad. Never. Until they took everything from us. So, the greatest rise of all time to ever come against them since they have landed in recent time was the Haitian Revolution. This is why they give the Haitians a hard time to this day. But when the Haitians rose, or when any of your ancestors rose, we were able to rise because it was always the divine feminine energy connected with her divine masculine energy. And the divine masculine energy connected with his divine feminine energy, and we rose as one. We can never rise if the tie has been severed. That is the heart of the problem with our species today.
Because you're stuck in religion and all that's fake. All of it. You just got to understand what you need to go directly study. And that's the key. So you can argue about history all day long. All religions are fake. The priest learned something different than the average citizen. And you got to understand the breakdown of the esoteric part, and you got it. You can bypass the bullshit. And let's break this down. There's your esoteric, which means hidden, and exoteric, which means outer, which everybody gets. Exoteric is moral teachings. Pray to God and hope you don't bump into nothing. The exoteric is what the masses get. The priests get the esoteric, the mystical. Your esoteric to Christianity is Gnosticism. Gnosis, Gnosticism. So bypass the Christianity, go to the Gnosticism. If you Hebrew, your esoteric to Hebrew or Judaism is Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic system. If you Islamic, the esoteric is Sufism. Original name is Malianism. That was some stuff that Islam came from. But the Cushite Arabians, whose Muhammad's father was, Muhammad knew certain things, and they carved all that little shit up, and Bilal basically wrote that thing. Bilalianism is what that is, and that's the Hebrew, the Ethiopian. So Gnosticism, Sufism, and Kabbalistic is your esoteric.
And to me, religion, my idea of religion is this. I think that I learned this in jail, because I talked to every god there was in jail. I think that if you take one of the O's out of good, it's God. If you add a D to evil, it's the devil. I think some cool motherfuckers sat down a long time ago and said, let's figure out a way that we can control motherfuckers. And that's what they came up with, is the Bible. Because if the guy wrote the Bible, I'm sure it would have been a revised copy by now. You know what I mean? Because a lot of shit has changed. And I've been looking for this revised copy, and I don't see it. I still see that same old copy that they had from then. And I'm not disrespecting anybody's religion. Please forgive me if it comes off like that. I'm just stating my opinion. I feel like we get crucified. I mean, the Bible is telling us all these people did this because they suffered this much. That's what makes them special people. Right. I got shot 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? And I got.
Sorry, y'all. Just having weird complications with this update with my camera app. So just get back into it.
Special people. Right. I got shot 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? And I got crucified to the media. You know what I mean? And I walked through with the thorns on, and I had shit thrown on me, and I had the thief at the top. I told that nigga I'll be back for you. You know what I mean? And trust me, this not supposed to be going down. I'll be back. So I'm not saying I'm Jesus, but I'm saying that we go through that type of thing every day. We don't part the Red Sea, but we walk through the hood without getting shot. You know what I mean? We don't turn water to wine, but we turn motherfucking dope fiends and dope heads into productive citizens into society. You know what I mean? We turn money. We turn words into money. You know what I mean? What greater gift can there be? So I believe God blesses us. I believe God blesses those that hustle, those that use their mind, and those that overall are righteous. I believe that your karma, everything that you do bad comes back to you. So anything that I'm doing that's bad, I'm going to have to suffer for. But in my heart, I think what I'm doing is right. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm going to heaven. You know what I mean? And I think heaven is just when you sleep with a good conscience. You don't have nightmares. And hell is when you sleep, the last thing you see is all the fucked up things you did in your life. And you just see it over and over again. Because you don't burn. Because if that's the case, it's hell on earth. Because bullets burn. You know what I mean? It's people that got burnt in fires. That means they went to hell already. You know what I mean? All that is here. So what else? What do you got there that we ain't seen here? What, you gonna walk around aimlessly, the zombie? Nigga, that's here. You ain't been on the streets lately? You know what I mean? What heaven is now. Look, we sitting up here, live big screen. It's heaven for the moment. You know what I mean? Hell is jail. I seen that one. Trust me, this is what's real. And all that other shit is to control you. If the churches took half the money that they was making and gave it back to the community, we'd be all right. If they take half the buildings that they use to praise God and gave it to motherfuckers who need God, we'd be all right. We be all right. Have you seen some of these goddamn churches lately? It's ones that take up the whole block in New York. It's homeless people out here. Why ain't God letting them stay there? Why these niggas got gold ceilings and shit? Why God need gold ceilings to talk to me? Why do God need colored windows to talk to me? Why God can't come where I'm at, where he sent me? If God wanted to talk to me in a pretty spot like that, why the hell he sent me here then? You know what I mean? That make ghetto kids not believe in God. Why?
That's true.
So that's a wrong religion. I believe in God. I believe God put us wherever we want to be at. Then it makes sense that God will put us in the ghetto. That means he wants us to work hard to get up out of here. That means he's testing us even more. That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of it made sense what he was saying. The only part he didn't make sense was when he said we making dope fiends. Oh, never mind.
You got to understand, we are gods. And I always talk to you all about the great invasion of 1492, right? So I talked to you about this moment before pre-colonialization, when we were in our God phase, where we were like, flying is so beneath us. That's why when guys ask like, well, we flying Where we flying? That's nothing. We created everything. You get what I'm saying? So when we had our Oregon energy pyramids and our pyramids that were made out of pure crystals, and our trees were still humongous, and like when we were still in that phase, when we were still red and green and blue because we was breathing hydrogen before they invaded our planet, before they started spraying the chemtrails and the Morgellons and the oxygen in the atmosphere. You get what I'm saying? Like, I speak about that time in here a lot. I speak about pre-colonialization, so you got to understand this time periods here. Now, after 1492, which is pre-Great Invasion, pre-colonialization, after 1492, that's when we begin to fall in frequency. All right, so I'm going to do some lectures on Egypt and stuff like that because it's a planet called Egypt. And the place that they call in Egypt is not even really Egypt. It's an actual planet called Egypt. But that's a whole different lecture. All right? So, but what I want you all to understand is they broke us down. Before we got to where we are today, all right, we were at the top. Okay, we were at the top. So after we were betrayed and we began to fall in frequency, all right, because the Moors betrayed us by teaching the human beings our access codes to our ancient technology. The human beings then turned around and gave it to the Pleiadians and the Draconians, who used it against us, and they began to they blew our second sun out the atmosphere and everything, right? So then we began to fall in frequency. They started to blow our pyramid towers up, destroy our trees, all right? We had huge, humongous trees. For those of you who haven't watched the video, you need to go watch it. When you go through the west coast or the western part of the country, you see all these mountain ranges. And these mountain ranges, if you're not aware, you'll think they're just mountains. But if you was to go look at Google Maps and look at the top of any mountain, you'll see that these are tree stumps. So go watch that video. But, okay, so this is during that time when they was cutting the trees down and doing all this stuff, right? We scattered amongst the land. This is why in the Bible they tell you about the Tower of Babel and how it fell, and then we were scattered amongst the land. They're really talking about us, Goth, Anunnaki gods, all right? We were scattered amongst the land. And when we became scattered amongst the land, we began to become tribal. Because before we were scattered amongst the land, we were never tribal at all. So you got to understand where Native Americans come from. Before that, this is us, right? But before we were scattered amongst the land, we weren't tribal. We communicated using telepathy, and our chips that connected to these tall pyramid towers that we had that were made out of all different types of sapphires, rubies, crystals, tourmalines, all of these different things. I've always said this, right? All right, so now we got scattered amongst the land. Think about it. People that were using telepathy, we were using telepathy, so we can't use it anymore. So what we did, we started ganging up. We're like, okay, well, we can't use telepathy no more, but we're going to gang up. We were still aware of what had happened to us. We fell in frequency. We began to turn these copper complexions. We began to lose our greens and our luminous greens and blues and these beautiful colors that we vibrated, right? Because the frequency of the planet began to become lowered. This was all by design, okay? So this is how you get to that period of what they like to call Native Americans. And they always taught you that the Native Americans was a separate group of people from you. All right, because they wanted black people and Latino people to believe that Latino people are Latino people, black people are Africans that come from Africa that were brought across the water, which is a lie, and that Indians are just Indians who were killed off, and that the ones that were left, they were given land and free reservations to live on. This is all bullshit. This is all fucking bullshit, lies. All right, blacks and Latinos are the same species. Genetics will prove that, right? Now, when you talk about these Indians, the people that they give the land to and get a free reservation to, these are not Indians. These are white people. And that's not nothing against white people. I'm just saying, these are human beings.
You guys want to hear something terrifying? The prophecy of the popes.
Oh boy.
This book was found in the Vatican archives. Predicted every single pope from in 1143 all the way to our current pope. But the scary thing is, after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day.
Oh gosh.
It literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yes, the creepiest thing that I saw inside St. Paul's Basilica, bordering the whole inner sanctuary, is every single pope. But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers to where you can put a picture. There's one left after Pope Francis. They have always said that once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. What he predicted, the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about, halfway mark, was 422 years. And he's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 years from the middle pope, which was 1585, that year is 2027.
Dang!
It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, and he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027 as well.
So the giant pine cone statue at the Vatican has more meaning to it?
Aren't you curious why at the middle of the Vatican there's a pine cone instead of a statue of Jesus? I'm telling you, it's not just for some decoration. That pine cone is a big symbol. You can see it on the Pope's staff and in churches everywhere. But here's the strange part. The same symbol shows up in ancient Egypt and Samaria used by their gods. Osiris, the Egyptian god, carried a staff with a pine cone. The Sumerian gods had it too. And yet Christianity calls these ancient religions evil. They say it's devil worship. So why would the Vatican use the same symbol? Makes you think, right? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The pine cone represents the pineal gland, what people call the third eye. It's a part of your brain that helps with dreams and deep thoughts. The word pineal even comes from the same root as pine cone, and both have the same spiral shape. Ancient people believed the pineal gland was the key to spiritual visions, a way to connect with something bigger than ourselves. And get this, the pineal gland makes DMT, a chemical that gives people wild dreams and mystical experiences. That's why some say it's the God gland, a bridge between the real world and something beyond. The Vatican didn't just pick that symbol for fun. The truth is hidden right there, in the Vatican, on the Pope's staff, and even in ancient art. But only those who know what to look for can really see it.
Look, we have 46 chromosomes, right?
Right.
What happened?
At 48.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They discovered that chromosome number 2 was taken out. They call it an artificial mutation. They mean geneticists. Fused together and 2 telomere caps put on, 1 telomere cap on each side. Who in the world took chromosome number 2 out, fused it together, and put telomere caps on it? And they say that it happened as an estimated 200,000 years ago, right at the time that the Sumerian tablets say they decided to make mankind to do the labor. There's no coincidence that the tablets are aligning with modern science. And this means that a couple things. The first thing, it means that we were genetically modified. The second thing that it means is the telomere caps limit our lifespan to about 120 years max, according to Harvard scientists. Now, in the Bible, what does it say? It says that my seed shall not abide in man forever. His years shall be 120. That was taken from the Sumerian tablets, even further back than that, thousands of years before the Bible was written, when Yahweh, a.k.a. Enlil, shows back up, sees the human beings building a tower into the heavens, copying a tower that they themselves had built. It pissed them off, and he said, whatever their hearts decide to do, they shall achieve it. My seed shall not abide in man, his years will be 120. And then he did a genetic modification at that point, I believe, with the telomeres, and he spread mankind out around the planet, and he confused their languages. He had us speaking different languages, so we couldn't collaborate. Now we're in competition, no collaboration, divide and conquer.
And there's the Tower of Babel.
That's it. That's it, man.
So it was all done just to keep us from rising.
Yes. We were advancing too fast, and he had to slow us down. If we shorten their lifespan, then they won't have enough time. By the time they realize who they are and what power they have, they'll be dead. And see, that's what's happened to us.
Before Christianity, there were 15 major theological religions, movements in the world that taught exactly the same identical story. Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. That's the way I am as a teacher and as a researcher and a writer.
If you're seeking the real truth, if you want to understand what you are and where we are, this ebook will have answers. Check the link in the profile bio.
I want to talk.
By the way, I'm not promoting or selling anything on that. I'm reacting to these just as much as you are. I collect them, and I don't watch them all the way through. I just bring them here to watch with you guys and react. So it's a lot of interesting stuff today.
A little bit about the Vatican archives. In the 1920s, there's a Russian professor. His name was Dxrk Ludwig. He was able to have access to the archives. He said that there's 53 miles worth of shelving in the archives. He also reported that there are 35,000 catalogs, basically like books. He walked up on this one section, which was, he called it the alien section, and he came across star people,
creatures,
or angels, or people from space coming down in crafts this, like these books talked about how these star people taught all the ancient civilizations. They taught how to build the pyramids and taught the Mayans things and like all this crazy stuff. And then he writes down that these things had these weapons, and today we're like, those are nuclear weapons. It talked about how they would use them, and I guess they used it once on Babylon, and said that this weapon that these things possessed melted the walls of Babylon with the amount of energy and heat that they produce. And I'm just like, why are they hiding this stuff? It just seems like the Roman Catholic Church is a little bit of like the gatekeepers.
Yeah,
of
they're
like,
gatekeepy. That's what they are.
People say that when the Pope dies, there will be a final Pope. Many are calling him the Antichrist, and he has just revealed himself.
There is no one else but me that you are obliged to obey. May God be a witness that I have proclaimed.
This person who goes by the name of Abdullah claims to be the Messiah for Muslims, Jews, and Christians. But Jesus warned us about false prophets and a man who would rule the world. The Bible says the Antichrist will come from the Middle East. And this man is both from East and the West.
I am the son of the East through my father, and the son of the West through my mother. I am like Zulkarnain, who with one horn in the east and one in the west.
He claims he's mentioned in the Quran and in the prophecies of Isaiah from the Bible in Judaism.
My name is also on the tongue of Isaiah.
This points to him being the Antichrist, who will soon start ruling. He said he would make his first announcement after the death of Pope Francis, and now, just days after the Pope's death, he has appeared, declaring his position. The Bible warns that when the Antichrist rises, a massive war will break out across the world, and it looks like things are starting to happen now.
I am more knowledgeable than any false pope, and I am appointed by name and the will of the prophets.
Comment Messiah below, and I will share more information with you.
Churches. Don't comment that, bro. See, that's why you gotta be careful, man. Like, you can't really do too much trusting when it comes to the Vatican and this, that, and the third, because like they said in the video, they kind of gatekeep a lot of stuff. But then you got weirdos like that just come along, and he probably gonna gain some kind of following because we some sheep. But over here at Dark Mafia, we ain't no sheep. We see right through that.
Sees me as a walking devil. Why? Because I know who they really are, and I know what they're really doing. The actual corporation churches are very, very evil. Astro-theology, I think, should be the world religion. Astro-theology is very, very powerful story. The whole story on the Bible about Jesus is a metaphor. It's a symbolic metaphor. And as long as you are reading the Bible, especially the New Testament, as history, you're never going to get it. It's a metaphor. It's a symbolic story. It's called Astro-theology. It's the most important subject the world's ever known. That's why the Bible is called the greatest story ever told. It's a story. The Bible is nothing more than astrology. Ask any 5-year-old, where's God? You point out there. What do you call that out there? That's heaven. So God's out there in heaven, right? Yeah. Well, what does that mean? Is he extraterrestrial? He come from another planet? He's out there.
I'm not allowed to say certain things, but this is how they hide everything. So, if you want to understand what you are, where we are, this ebook will literally unveil that to you.
Back to this ebook, man.
One of the oldest Bibles.
Hey, yo, so listen. Forget about that ebook stuff. If you want to check it out. That's on you. I'm not promoting anything, but yeah, man, run up the likes and run up the shares and the subscribes. That just grows my platform. And I got some stuff that I could post, but I gotta have a bigger following for it. Not a following, but followers, subscribers. That's my little bit of protection, you know what I'm saying? So that way, if something happens to me, y'all know.
To exist is the Ethiopian Bible. What if I told you that Christianity was already thriving in Africa years before it ever even spread to Europe? What if I told you that what you've been taught about Christianity is an absolute lie? Today we are going full Da Vinci Code. We are cracking all the myths and diving deep into a part of history that's been overlooked for far too long. Things that our traditional school system has distorted and deliberately kept from us. Most people think Christianity spread from Jerusalem to Rome and then branched out to the rest of Europe, right? But let's rewind the clock back nearly nearly 2,000 years. Let's start in Africa instead, where the Apostle Mark, a companion of Peter, started the Christian community in Egypt in around 42 AD. That's way before the Papal Palace was even a blueprint in Rome. And have you ever heard of the Kingdom of Aksum? It's in modern-day Ethiopia. By the 4th century, King Izana, who converted to Christianity, made it the official state religion, making Aksum one of the earliest states to officially adopt the faith. Even the coins from Aksum serve as ancient proof of a Christian kingdom in Africa centuries before the Vikings even thought about converting. Even some of the key figures who helped shape early Christian doctrine were Africans. People like Tertullian and St. Augustine were heavyweights of early Christian thought, and they were both from North Africa. The ancient Egyptian desert monks were the earliest Christian hermits, ascetics, and monastics who lived primarily in the Seti's desert of Egypt beginning around the 3rd century AD. Even the concept of the Holy Trinity itself was also first articulated in Africa. Africans weren't just bystanders, they were the architects of foundational Christian teachings. The parallels between the story of Jesus Christ in Christianity and the myths and legends of gods in ancient civilizations like Egypt have been a topic of study and debate for centuries. Osiris, the Egyptian god of the afterlife, was murdered and resurrected by his wife, Isis. The notion of resurrection in Osiris' story has been compared to the resurrection of Jesus. Isis, who is the mother of Horus and the wife of Osiris, is often depicted holding Horus in a manner reminiscent of the Christian Madonna and Child. Like Mary, Isis is also considered a divine mother figure and is highly revered. Horus was believed to have been born through a miraculous divine process to Isis. His life includes several events that are similar to the events of the life of Jesus, like teachings and miracles, for example. And Egyptian mythology has been the main belief structure and underlying form of ancient Egyptian culture since at least 4000 BCE. That's 4,000 years before Christ even existed. But this isn't just history. This is a revolution in how we understand the roots of a religion that has billions of followers today. Africa isn't the sideline of Christian history. It's the center stage and always has been. So the next time someone talks about the roots of Christianity, remember the vibrant tapestry of its African history. And don't ever forget that the idea of separateness is but an illusion.
Religion, unfortunately, is a man-made device. It is designed to mentally enslave the masses. Now, the people that formed religion started out in spirituality long before religion ever existed. So everything started within the mystery schools. These mystery schools were taught by people like both the Atlantean and other mysteries teachers around the world, and only people who were called adept initiates were allowed to come in and learn this information. Okay, in other words, I see something special in you. This kid, this child, or this man is gifted, or this woman is gifted. I'm going to bring them in, and they're going to get this secret knowledge. It's hand-picked people, and so they would have it. They would keep this knowledge secreted, so that if it got into the wrong hands, they knew what would happen. It would turn into something like religion, for example, right? Over time, when these masters left or disappeared or whatever happened to them, the general people who did have this knowledge began to spread out and continue to teach. But they started allowing more people in and more people in, and these mystery schools then sprung off and became secret societies. Skull and Crossbones originates from the mystery schools. All these other secret, the Illuminati and all these mysteries, all these secret societies originate from the ancient mysteries. There you can see it, the split in the division. They went dark, some went light, some went dark.
Oh, there's another one. So some people say pigs apparently contain...
Hey, I do gotta agree with that one, though. The religion being, population control. A lot of us think if we do something bad, we won't get up there in heaven, but I personally don't buy into it, but Dark Mafia, y'all free to have y'all beliefs, all right?
The souls of banished humans.
No, there's no way.
So first, if you look up pig's eye, they look unbelievable.
Run that back for y'all.
Light, some went dark.
Oh, there's another one. So some people say pigs apparently contain the souls of banished humans.
No, there's no way.
So first, if you look up pig's eye, they look unbelievably human.
Okay.
There's also a quote in the Bible, even the demons didn't want to go to hell, but they begged Jesus to put them into the bodies of pigs. Also, apparently pigs can't even look up at the sky. That's basically saying, like, you'll never be able to look upon the heavens. And on top of that, bro, most religions don't eat pig. I also remember once this cannibal did an interview, and someone asked him, like, what does human actually taste like? And he straight up said, like, yeah, it tastes like pig. Oh, yeah.
Religion is a business. And it's a very big business. And I am always amazed and shocked to see how religion, what it has done to the human race. I have the highest of respect and the highest of admiration for spirituality. I believe in a divine spiritual presence in the world and in the universe. There's no doubt in my mind that there is a very high intelligence being expressed in the heavens. I have a highest respect for basically what you would call God, whatever that is. God is simply dog spelled backwards, right?
Yeah, no label can limit the infinity.
No, absolutely. You're trying to understand the infinite with a finite mind. Like Manly P. Hall, my dear friend, said, if you can explain something about God so that everyone can understand, then that would prove conclusively that you don't know anything. Because your pea-sized, ignorant, ill-informed, uninformed brain cannot understand the divine complexity of the universe. And the best scientists in the world, they don't even understand it. And every 10 years, they got a whole new understanding of the universe. But I am totally convinced that there is a presence in the universe that men have called God. It's just that it's not on TV. It's not on TBN. That is a monstrosity. Christianity today is a monstrosity. But then again, most of religion is a monstrosity because it's a business. It's all based on commerce. That's why churches are divided into denominations, like 10s and 20s, right? You need to look at words. Words are very important. Religion is a business. And it's a very big business. And I am always amazed and shocked to see how religion, what it has done to the human race. I have the highest of respect and the highest of admiration for spirituality. I believe in a divine spiritual presence in the world.
Hold on, y'all. That one's on repeat for some reason.
Believe in spirituality. I don't believe in religion. Let me give you the difference. Teach me, boss. Spirituality is a personal and community system of trying to comprehend one's relationship with God, trying to figure out one's purpose in life, and trying to achieve God consciousness, which is reunion with your creator. That's spirituality. Religion is a system of psychological control and economic exploitation by parasites in the community who simply want to live off other people's money without earning it, and so they manipulate you into believing that only if you believe in this particular religious narrative that can't be proven, can't be scientifically validated. Jesus Christ don't have a cemetery. There's no gravestone. Moses has no gravestone. Muhammad ibn Abdullah has no gravestone. Noah, Jacob, where is the grave for these religious leaders? I'm not arguing that they don't exist.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
I'm not arguing that they don't exist. What I'm saying is, your religious beliefs cannot be scientifically verified. You understand me? Spirituality doesn't concern itself with religious narrative. In other words, when you look at traditional African spirituality, even if you look at Chinese, and we gave it to them because we civilized China, East India, we gave it to them, we civilized them. I got a good question. They focus on establishing a relationship with supreme consciousness. They don't focus on, I'm talking about their traditional spiritual systems, not their modern stuff like Christianity. They don't focus on whether or not Jesus Christ was your savior, whether or not Muhammad was the last prophet of God, whether or not Moses was sent with the 10 Commandments. You understand me? They don't focus on that because that is doctrine and dogma, and doctrine and dogma has nothing to do with building a relationship with God.
Business idea. They don't have to pay taxes. They sell an invisible product that you only get to experience after you die. And if it doesn't work out, it's always your fault. You don't have enough faith. You don't believe enough. You're going to the wrong church. Give us more money. Wake up, people. You're getting scammed.
Whoever the true God is, I don't play about him.
And I understand that regardless of what you choose to call them, it's the same entity. And once you study all of the religions, you find out that nobody's really disagreeing with anybody. I believed at that young age that you could have a relationship with God. And I know that that's kind of old-fashioned now. But when I was young, that's what I believed. And so I developed this relationship where we talk 4 or 5 times a day, and we talk about everything, and I'm coming to you when things are well and when it's not well. And if I ask for something, I know when you gave me what I asked for, because it's the only time. So I understood at a young age that I wasn't like everybody else, that I was in a blessed position, and that I had the ability to be able to make things happen if I could find the instructions and follow them. At 5 years old, that's how I thought. I knew when things were wrong with the Bible. I wasn't worried about authority because God was like the authority. And other than that, I got to tolerate you, but I'm not allowed to bow down. I'm like that as a child.
Jesus did not teach what you call Christianity. He knew nothing of it. That is a name that was given to the followers of Jesus, and it's written there in the book that at Antioch they became known as Christians. But what did Jesus call himself, and what did he call those who followed him? Listen, my Jewish friends, God never named a religion Judaism. He gave Moses the Torah, not Judaism. That is the name that you put on the word of Almighty God. You put Judaism on it. You put Christianity on it. But Jesus and Moses both taught us to bow down, not to statues, not to stone, not to images, but to bow down to one God and one God alone.
PSA religion was used to control you and not to actually free you, and Jesus was actually like trying to tell you that he discovered his own divinity, and he also knew that that same divinity lived inside of you, because you were actually a walking, breathing piece of the universe, and that all you needed to do was wake up like he did and recognize and see yourself clearly. But there were these men, and these men were like, oh my God, if these people understand how powerful they are, our plan will absolutely go to shit. So they took Jesus' message and they twisted it and they made it into fear, and they made up these rules, and they told you that you were broken, and they said, hand us your money, and they said, if you don't follow us, you'll burn forever. Follow us. But none of that was actually Jesus's teaching. Just here to remind you, wakey wakey babe, rise and shine. It's time you remember. I love you.
Wake up.
More.
Hey, well, that's the video today, guys, man. It was an interesting one. I hope you enjoyed it, man. Hey, look, I love y'all, man. I really appreciate it, bro. We've been at it for what, about 2.5 weeks now. We're up to about 80 something followers. I keep saying followers, subscribers. Hey, y'all even hitting that like button for your boy. I appreciate that, man. That means my videos are getting out there. You know, I am trying to get up out of Domino's, so merch coming soon. I'm even thinking about starting like a Patreon or, you know, something for off of YouTube content, you know, maybe just to watch shows together and react to certain stuff that I can't put on YouTube. You know, I do want to be a content creator full-time, so I'm trying to get there, but I am working a full-time job doing this, and this is also my other full-time job, and I'm an avid video gamer. I play Call of Duty and 2K, so I am trying to do the best for you guys and trying to get these videos out. So, you know, I appreciate y'all. Stay tuned. Love you, Dark Mafia. Peace.